Hi everybody. So for a long time I believe that our society has been broken up into subcategories, and I want to talk today about males. I want to talk about the male subcategories. I believe that there are real men, there are average men, and then there are bottom feeders. Today what I want to talk about is the bottom feeders and the average men, and the fact that I believe that there's not enough real men who are coming through in order to help the medium men and the bottom feeders. Now, I know I'm known as a humorist and I want to be fun, but the first part of this thing is going to be pretty serious, because the first part talks about the actual facts of what's happening in this country. Do you realize that last year in our country, according to the crime statistics, 21,022 people were murdered in South Africa? I'm going to pause and I want you to just take that in. 21,022 people were murdered in 1 year in our country. To help people understand that, a lot of people say, if you take a huge bus and you fill it with people, that is the amount of people that are murdered every single day in our country. And I understand that the brain still can't take that in, because even one murder is too much. And if you look at 21,022 people and just say it's 21,021 people, if that one individual, that one person happened to be your mom, your uncle, your cousin, a relative, a family member, a staff member, a boss, that's personal. But now imagine that exact same thing, 21,000, 21 times more, because that's how many people are murdered in our country. Let me get more specific with you. Do you understand that a woman is murdered in our country every 3 hours? Every 3 hours a woman is murdered. These are our sisters and our daughters, our mothers, our grannies, our aunts are being murdered every 3 hours. And if that's not bad enough, and I know it's shocking, and I know we're not treating women like we should in this country, if you're a man in this country, you are 3 times more likely to be murdered than a woman, even with the woman's rates being that high. 9 men are murdered every 3 hours in this country. This is a shocking statistic, if that wasn't shocking enough. On average, 3 children are murdered every single day in our country. Our small country, this country, the size of 2 states in America, that's South Africa. If you look at Texas, double Texas, and that's the size of South Africa. And every single day, 3 children are murdered. Now I want you to add to that, 114 women are raped every day in our country. Every single day, 114 women are raped. That's about 5 every hour. And statistics will show you that only 37% of rapes are actually reported. Now, according to my Mondial High School maths, that leaves about 63% of unreported rapes. So if 63% are not reported, what are the actual statistics? Well, simple. Over 307 women are raped every single day in our country. You want that to be more personal? Every 4.5 minutes, a woman is raped in our country. By the time this video is finished, 4, 5, 6 women would have already been raped. Hold on, I'm not even finished yet. 13,861 children were raped last year in our country. I said the word children. That means that 3 kids are raped every 2 hours in our country. How is that not a bigger pandemic than COVID-19? How is that not shut down the country and stop everything? 164 women and children face domestic violence every single day when lockdown wasn't happening, and we thought that lockdown would improve that people were home in their families and they were safe. Apparently domestic violence is up, and that's without alcohol being sold. How would you like to live in an environment where you are beaten and you are marginalized and assaulted and you are bullied every single day? And this is happening every day in our country. I'm not going to talk about robbery. I'm not going to talk about housebreakings, assault GBH, robbery with aggravated circumstances, hijackings, fraud. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm just talking about those crimes right now, and every single one of them have a common denominator. Do you know what the common denominator is? Men. And they are men who are in the bottom feeders. These are people who are literally, physically raping, murdering, killing and stealing from our society. And yet, people carry on as if Well, nothing's happening as long as it doesn't affect me. Those are what I call the bottom feeders. In the middle, there are the other men that we have to add to this. And research now shows us that up to 46% of households in this country are run by single women. Okay, that means their men are absent, men are not around, men are not even paying alimony when there is a divorce. Maintenance courts are full trying to get men to actually pay and support their families. Add to that men who are bullies. These are not the men who rape and kill and murder and steal, but these are the men who bully. They bully other men, they bully kids, they bully wives, they bully children. Why? Because that's what bullies do. Bullies are these people who feel so inferior within themselves that they have to actually go and wield power over somebody who they know is powerless, because bullies never pick on people who are stronger than them. They see a weakness and that's where they go, because they only thrive on weakness. So you add to that the bullies, add to that men who lie and cheat and steal, add to that men who don't put their weights away at gym. You know those people, how hard is it just to train and put the weights back? Okay, let me not go there. Add to that 3 other groups: chops, arseholes, and knobs. Now listen, I don't have to explain chops, arseholes, and knobs. If you've met a chop, you know a chop. You know the difference between a chop and an arsehole, because an arsehole is not a chop and a chop is not a knob. These are different people. A chop is one of those people that might say something inappropriate at a function, or they might say something inappropriate to your wife. An arsehole is a person who will do something inappropriate at a function and will do something inappropriate to your wife. And a knob, well, they probably won't be invited to the function anyway, because, hey, they're a knob. Add to that men who have issues, and boy, do men have issues, and they project the issues onto other people, in the workplace, in home, in society. Add to that group SMS. SMS is short man syndrome, and we don't have to say much about these people. Next are the racists and the idiots. Idiots and racists, probably the same type of people. And then there are the idiots, the obnoxious, the loudmouths, the doomers, the gloomers, the complainers, and the people who actually believe WrestleMania is real. Now, these are the people who hang around in the middle section. Oh, and lawyers. Yes, and lawyers. I think my list is complete. I'll probably add to it as time goes by. These are the people in the middle section. And the problem is, because we've got so many scum-sucking people and so many people in the middle, the other section where there are real good men, these are the people who now need to stand up. For many years it's actually bugged me. For many years it's bugged me that there aren't enough real men in the world. More importantly, there aren't enough examples of real men in the world. In my research of the last 12 years, when I've been trying to say, how can we make a difference? How can we make a difference and change things? What we need to do is we need to design a manual. Get it? The real manual. We need to design something like that so that young people, young men, girls can start reading it. Young guys will know what to do and how to do it. We can start running workshops. We can start opening the dialogue in what it takes to be a real man. And more importantly, young girls and women can know what to expect from a man, because there must be an expectation, there must be a bar, there must be this is the standard. Am I right? I know that the manual is designed really to train men and boys, but most importantly to enlighten women, to get women to, number one, understand where a man's coming from, but more importantly, they need to know where the benchmark is. They need to meet a man and know and have read the manual and say, if you can't have these 3, 4, 5, 6 characteristics which are important to me, if these men don't start displaying that right from the beginning, you walk away. Somebody once said, when is the best time to talk to a man who's just beaten his wife? And the answer is simple. The best time to talk to a man who's beaten his wife is when that man was 12. You see, the sooner we can start forming this foundation of what it takes to be a real man, of things like trust and honor and integrity and going the extra mile and walking away and standing your ground and all the stuff that makes society worth living, and all the stuff that women desperately need, that young boys and kids desperately need. This is the stuff that is covered in the manual. So very, very quickly, the way the manual is done, it's written like a manual. In other words, there aren't long paragraphs explaining stuff. All we do is we state, here is the man rule. Next thing we do is we say, what is the reward if you do the man rule? A lot of people need a reward before they actually do something. Then we unpack the man rule. This is how you go about it. Then we have a section called troubleshooting. At the end of every rule, we turn around and go, but what happens if, in this instance? Exactly like a manual. You know, you plug something, it's not working, there's a troubleshooting section. Go to the troubleshooting section and see other things that you could possibly have done. So who's the real man designed for? The real man is designed to make sure that boys, teenagers, young men and men understand what it takes to be a real man. In other words, the manual is there. These are the minimum requirements in order for you to be a man. What is our goal? Our goal is to make sure that we get this manual into as many hands as we possibly can. In fact, they say that you've got to have a big, scary goal. My scary goal is to get the manual into the hands of 1 million young and not so young people over the next 2 years. My goal is to go into schools. My goal is to go into companies. Many years ago, somebody asked me, if you could change your career, what would you do? And I said, I would just go to schools and speak to kids. And now I've got the vehicle to speak to kids about what I want to do. I want to go to schools and I want to speak to young girls and say to them, this is what you need to expect and anticipate, and this is how you understand what a man is and what a man should be. And I want to look at young boys, I want to look at young men and say to them, if you want to be an honorable man, if you want to be a real man, here is the blueprint. This is what we need to do in order for you to live a life of abundance, to have respect and loyalty and honor and trust and integrity. That's my passion. In order to do that, I'm calling upon every single person I know. For years, a lot of you have followed me. Some have followed me on Facebook. Some have followed me on Instagram and LinkedIn and social media. My WhatsApp messages I send every single morning. My newsletters I send out. And all of that stuff, for most part, has been done absolutely free because I don't ask for anything from anybody. But now I'm asking. A lot of people say, what can I do? Well, of course, you can do a lot of things. I'm going to be calling upon you. My biggest fear is that my dream, this whole thing, will just falls flat because this video doesn't go viral. This video doesn't get shared by other people. So I'm asking you, if you believe and you want to make a difference in this country, and you believe that it's time for real men to step forward, if you believe it's time that there's a blueprint on what a real man should act like, if you believe that your daughters and your wives and your sisters and your nieces and nephews need to know what to expect from a real man, what standards there are, more importantly, they need to know what is unacceptable behavior in a man. If you are that person and you want to make a difference, now's the time. I'm calling upon you to start spreading the word. I am going to just commit the rest of my life to doing one simple thing, and that is trying to raise men in this country, taking them from males and Neanderthals and people who are just apathetic, to start making them men who care, men with passion and honor and integrity. And if you are that person, I'm calling upon you right now, and I'm going to nag you and complain until you look me in the face and say I'm not interested, and only then will I walk away. So I'm going to call upon all my corporate clients. Yes, I'm going to call on you, George from Vodacom. We are going to go big. I'm going to earmark a couple of schools. We're going to get dozens of these manuals. We're going to drop them off to the schools, and I'm going to run workshops. Yes, I'm going to call on you, Marius from Momentum, and we are going to earmark schools for you. And yes, Adrian from Discovery, I'm coming, I'm banging on your door. Rudy from Better Bond. And all the banks and every client from Bidvest right down to the co-ops in the Free State. I want to get in front of you, and I want to look at you and say, how do we take the manual and the principles of the manual, and how do we start spreading it and making sure that it reaches every single school and institution and higher learning place and wherever we can get it out. Why? Because we are literally dying in this country. And we need to make a difference. Edmund Burke said, the only thing for evil to triumph is when good men do absolutely nothing. It's time now for us to do something about it. It's time now for us to take action. The real question is what can you do? Well, simple. Number one, start spreading the word. Try and get as many people in your network to see this video. Try and get as many people that you know getting involved and putting their name forward and going, what initiative can we use right now to drive this real man concept? Because together we are stronger. We are stronger together. Funny enough, recently, Princess Charlene of Monaco's people and her foundation reached out and said, would I be an ambassador for the whole Stronger Together thing? And they made me an ambassador, and I thought, but it really makes sense because Princess Charlene's whole concept is how she can help children, help them have fun, save a life, change a life, because her big thing is drowning and how many people are actually drowning, how many children are drowning, and she uses sport. So her foundation is doing fantastic work, and a lot of it is based purely on children. I am passionate about women and children and protecting and keeping them safe. So the dovetail was there. So what else can you do? Simple. Here's the thing. Go to Google. On Google, what you need to do is just Google Princess Charlene of Monaco's Foundation, okay? Or just put the initials in as I did there. Click on that and then you'll find the website. So at the top, click on that, you'll go to their page. At their page, you'll see it says ambassadors and charities. Click on ambassadors charities and you'll find a drop down with a whole bunch of ambassadors and South Africans who are involved in the South African chapter. I want you to find my ugly mug. I want you to click on the mug and this is where you can take action. 3 things you can do. Number 1, you can vote for me because apparently there's prizes and all sorts of stuff. I'll tell you honestly, I'm not into Formula 1. The prize you can win is a trip to go watch the Grand Prix. That's not me. Another prize you can win is to go to the bush and spend 2-3 days in the bush. That's also not me. I'm not doing this for the prizes, but you can enter and there's a lucky draw and you can enter the competition. The most important thing is the middle button. The middle button says that the money you donate to that charity, which is her charity, which is our charity, 50% goes to her foundation for the kids and 50% goes to a charity of my choice. My charity's choice is Women and Men Against Child Abuse. Of course. You want to know what you can do right now to help people and children? Contribute to that specific charity, because when you play money, and I think, you know what, I know times are tough. They're asking for $10. That's it. $10. With $10, 50% goes to our charity, 50% goes to her charity. And you know what? She does a lot of work in South Africa. That charity is in South Africa, so it's going to come back anyway. So that's the first step. Click on it, enter the competitions, do what you need to do. That's a great way to help. The next thing, you can pre-order the manual. The manual should have been printed 2 months ago, but then lockdown happened. We were ironing out a few things and we were going to push the button. We can't push the button. What we can do though, if you are interested in any way, shape or form, I need you to please pre-order the books. We need to know in our first run how many to get out there. I'm confident that we're going to have a whole bunch of people ordering. Hopefully by then we'll be able to use courier companies to deliver them to you. We'll have all the pricing on the book. But remember, this is a manual. It's a proper manual. I've been working on it for 12 years. And the idea is that we need to change this country. We need men to step up. We need to make sure that real men come out of the shadows now. Or more importantly, the real men that are in the light, we change our focus. Our focus has to be on the youth. Our focus has to be on youngsters, on teenagers. Our focus has to be on young fathers who are lost themselves and they need guidance. They need somebody to give up their time to step in and say, this is how you do it in that situation. This is how you do it when this happens. We need real men to step up. Now is the time. Now is the time for us to come together because we are stronger together.